remember, first rule of ethics, first ethic is take a full responsibility for everything in your life. Okay? This supersedes your intentions. So in other words, your intentions may be good or pure or innocent intellectually, but your actual actions are more important and what you must take responsibility for rather than what you intended to happen. All right? So we want to resolve the dilemmas of life. So what are the dilemmas of life? If we look at humanity, people are low self-esteem, they're stressed, they're pressure, they're a mess. Okay, world's a mess, humans are a mess. Now, what do people like to do in general tells us about the way the human mind in general in society is functioning, whether you're aware of it or not, and you are a part of it, whether you like it or not, because you're another human living in society, unlike me who lives outside of society. The way I live and travel, I'm in hotels all the time. I'm constantly moving. I look for remote places. I don't get involved, all right? So, but for people who are involved, and that's why I can see things you don't see, right? When you're in the prison, you don't know what the walls of the prison are like from the outside. All you know is the inside of your cell. So I'm outside the prison so I can see this is your prison. Okay. So what do people do? They like to drink. And why do they like to drink all the time and socially? Because it lets them loosen up, right? This is what people say. I don't know. I never drink. But people drink. They say, I say, why do you like drinking this? It helps me relax. Okay. Why drugs? Helps me forget. Helps me relax. Everything they're doing. Humans are always doing things to help them relax. Help them let go, remove their inhibitions, be more open, more free, because they need these drugs to manipulate their mind. Okay. So then we have to say, all right, if people generally need that, means that people are very uptight in general. Something is wrong. So we have to look at the question of what is wrong? Why are people so uptight or nervous or stressed that they need drugs to help them be what they naturally should be, which is just relaxed and open and free? Okay, so that's the question, and this is what I've come to see. The way people talk and communicate to each other, when you hear words, when you see events, this is in All Is Mind. You might want to get that little ebook or learn about this course, Anna. That's very simple, but the second part is, excuse me, how everything that you're thinking is in response to an event. And an event is anything that reaches your five senses. So when we're talking, somebody's listening. You're always listening to when people are talking. And so quickly, right? The brain is faster than any computer. So quickly, your mind is making identifications to those words, which are then creating emotional responses. And this is happening so fast, you have no idea it's happening, because the emotional response is far quicker than the intellectual response. Okay. Now, you are constantly having emotional responses to which your brain then has to process and translate to an intellectual terminology for you in your consciousness to be able to identify and comprehend. Okay? By the time it does that, you've already had your feelings, and your body has already responded with stress hormones or whatever else is going on. Okay. So then you live your whole life getting subtly stressed without realizing it. And so you need to go and have a drink when you go on a date, or you go on a date so you can relax and be more relaxed on your date. Or going out with your friends, or Friday, thank God, let me get drunk so I can relax, right? So we want to resolve this so we don't need these drugs and alcohol. Right? So the fact is, like it or not, you are constantly being stressed by your emotional reactions to what people are saying. And the reason it happens subconsciously without you being able to control it or understand it is because you are affecting other people without you realizing it. In the things you say, you are having very significant impacts on everybody you talk to. Even if you think I'm just being honest, or I'm just telling you like it is, or you don't even realize what you're saying. You're affecting people's moods. So, for example, there was one, well, never mind that example. I'll come to something else later. Little things you'll say. I want you to think of it. That's why I don't want to give you an example. I want you to think of the little things you could say or people say to you that is innocent on the surface, not badly intended, but gives an instantaneous emotional reaction of fear, of guilt, of manipulation. Okay? So in order to become emotionally free from manipulation, you first have to free yourself from manipulating others. Okay? You have to stop manipulating others in order for you to see and therefore no longer be affected by others manipulating you. And that's where things go wrong with the current, and probably since Freud, the psychotherapy and New Agey stuff, which is all about make boundaries, prevent yourself from being affected, stop others from affecting you. It doesn't work because you're still doing the same thing to other people. It is not right for me to smoke in a restaurant and to tell other people not to smoke in the restaurant. So therefore, we go back to number one ethic. Take full responsibility for everything in your life. You must begin with you no longer manipulating others in order for you to no longer be manipulated by others. And so this begins with you looking carefully at how you speak. Very precisely and very aware of the subtle words that you say, which could have a subtle and subconscious impact on someone else, making them feel guilty about something. Now, we can still talk in a way that is accurate, that is clear, but without making someone guilty. So I'll go to that example because of time differences, because I'm all over the world, right? So I'm texting with somebody, and she said, and it's going on, and said, please, I need to go to sleep now. Stop texting. Or please, I need to go to sleep now. I'm going to put my phone to silent. Okay. Now, when that person says, please, I'm going to do this, they're asking you something, right? When you say please, you're asking someone. So when you say, please, I need to go to sleep. I'm going to put my phone to silent. You're telling the person, you're keeping me up, right? Because you're saying, please. So you're being polite, but this subtle subconscious implication is that you're keeping me awake because I want to chat to you, and I feel I have to respond to you because I'm being respectful. I'm being nice to you. See how good I am? I'm so nice to you. I'm going to answer you. But please, will you stop texting me so I can go to sleep? Because I'm very tired. So this is an innocent way that you might think you're being polite, but yet it instills a touch of guilt on that person, because not only, oh my God, now I feel terrible, I'm keeping you awake, you're so tired, now you're not going to, oh, and then they said, because I have to get up early to go to work tomorrow, now I'm going to make you tired for work tomorrow, you're going to have a lousy day at work because of me. Oh boy, I feel very guilty. Now, I happen to be very aware of words, so I can feel these sensations. But most people won't feel it consciously, intellectually. But remember, the emotional nature responds instantly. And so the person will feel guilty and then cover it up and then not notice it. But the guilt is already there, subtly building up. And that's why people are so stressed in general. That's why they need drinks and drugs and alcohol to relax, because all of these tiny little guilt trips, which nobody even notices, are constantly hitting you. And they're building up and building up. And that's why I said, you're going on a date. What do you need alcohol to relax for? You should be all horny and excited. Maybe you get laid. You should be happy. Oh, no, 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 I need a drink. I need to relax. Oh, my God. I'm so stressed. Why are you stressed? This is what I don't understand with humans. They get sorry, it's just a typical thing from talking to people. This is generally something, or I'm going to a meeting or whatever, some stressful things. So I'm always perplexed. Why are people always so stressed? And so this is what I figured out. That it's all these subtle guilt trips that are building up and building up and building up. So when you are aware of how you speak and how your subtle words could affect another person, you automatically will become aware of how other people's words are affecting you. Once I'm aware of it, you can't hurt me anymore. You can only lay the guilt trip on me, and for that to subtly and subconsciously build up stress if I'm not aware of what you're doing to me. Right? The best attack is a surprise attack. And we are constantly inundated with surprise attacks of guilt and manipulation. So in that example, the person could have said, I'm going to sleep now. I'm going to put my phone to silent, so don't expect a reply. So keep texting if you want. So the difference is the first one said, please, blah, 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 is putting the responsibility on me. That it's my fault I'm keeping you up. That it's my fault that I'm texting to you. And so you're telling me that I have to stop texting. So you're putting the responsibility on me. Hey, if you're tired, just say good night, turn your phone to silent, don't give me a guilt trip, and you take responsibility for yourself. So that's why number one ethic, full responsibility for everything. So you see, you've done exactly the same thing. You've achieved your goal, which is you have ended the conversation, your phone will go to silent, you get to go to sleep, but yet you have not put a guilt trip on the other person. And then you did the guilt trip thinking, oh, I'm being polite by staying up and answering your text and saying, please. You think you're being polite because you don't know what you're doing. You're not aware of it. So this is manipulation. Right? You're manipulating, you're putting a guilt trip, and so on. And you see how simple it is to achieve the same result because you're now taking responsibility for your life instead of putting it on someone else. So, excuse me, since Ecuador, I've been coughing. The pollution is incredibly bad there. So, but I'll breathe fresh air here in Mallorca. It'll be a lot cleaner. So, okay, so this is the principle. So you have to watch number one, full responsibility for everything that happens to you and everything you're doing to someone else, and be very careful about the way you communicate. Now, if you're looking carefully about the words you use, you will automatically hear much more carefully what the words other people use. And then their guilt trips are no longer a surprise attack. Now, the funniest thing about this kind of surprise attack of guilt trip is the surprise to the person who's speaking also, because they didn't intend to manipulate you or give you a guilt trip. They didn't mean to do it. And that's why it's so powerful. That's why it hits us so deeply in our subconscious, because it is done sincerely. It's done sincerely. It's not a blatant manipulation, right? When it is a blatant manipulation, like a real estate salesman telling you about your house, or about the house he's trying to sell you, you know, it's like, I went to look at a house here, and he says, what's most important to you? I said, total silence. I need total silence. I've got a place. Total silence. You can, can't even hear the birds. So silent. Amazing. So, okay. Right away, I know. Okay. Real estate agent. He's full of bullshit. Okay. So we go to the apartment, and I'm there on the balcony. And vroom, vroom. You hear the cars driving by. You hear the trucks driving by. You see? So when he told me it's so silent, I could get very excited and enthusiastic. And then when I'm there, I don't hear the traffic noise, because he's already programmed my mind that there's no noise. See, it's a manipulation. But because I know better, he didn't manipulate me. So when I'm there, he may not hear the cars driving by, but I do. Because I'm not manipulated into distorting a experience. All right? So when you understand about it, you become free. No one can affect your moods. So never blame anyone else for affecting your mood. Never blame anyone else for your getting nervous, for your getting stressed, for your getting angry, for your saying stupid things. It's never anyone's fault. It's always your fault. And be so careful about even just the addition of that one word, please, in that sentence, well placed, can put a lot of guilt on somebody. Okay? So I think this is a big part of why people are so stressed and need all these things to relax, even if you don't realize it, how you are stressed to a certain degree. All right, so that was this morning's revelation. So, and since I realized, I'm in Europe now, the time difference might work for me to talk to you. How long have I been here? I think I've only been here 1 week. Yeah, I only arrived here last Sunday, I think, because I was in South America before, and the time difference didn't work at all. Okay, so what do you have to say? Yeah, you can speak.
I guess the first question that popped to mind when you were talking about that was, how in the moment to kind of like, if you have any particular techniques that would be used to kind of avoid that manipulation of other people, because I suppose it is such an ingrained thing. Is it just about being aware of it, or? Yep,
it's simple. You can speak English. You know your vocabulary. Just be very careful to observe your own physical sensations, because stress and guilt is a physical thing. Love, passion, guilt, fear, you'll feel it in your body, usually in your stomach, right? Stomach area, something like that. So just become very sensitive and aware, because you're looking for it. How do I feel? And then think about the words. If I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to say this and this and this. If someone said that to me, how would I feel? So you'll begin with doing it after. You can review things you said after you said it, and then say, how would I feel? Yeah, maybe that's not the best thing. So now you learn for next time. That's another thing about our work, Anna, is that you have to go for 6 months, a year before you notice any changes. Oh. That's why I'm not, huh?
I'm sure that, I mean, that makes perfect sense. I mean, it takes so long to fetch change and you're rerouting neural pathways, so.
Yeah. So that's why I'm not very popular, because people go for the ones who get you cured in a weekend, you know?
Yeah.
So, excuse me. Okay. So yeah, it's basically, that's the hardest part of this, is that it's awareness. Now, the ethics and the exercises that go with the ethics help make you more aware. So all of that, along with the other exercises that we have, because there's so many exercises I've made, all of that helps you like a jigsaw puzzle. You do some of those exercises, it helps you become more aware. Always trying to take full responsibility helps you become more aware. So for this, really, there's no great methods or techniques other than think. Think. Observe. How does this feel? Objectively. And never, ever justify. Never say, but I meant well. Too bad. It doesn't matter. You know, it's like that the doctor goes to operate on the patient dies. He's going to tell the corpse, please come back to life. I meant well. No, I'm sorry, the corpse. It's a corpse. He's dead. Too late. It doesn't matter what your intentions are. So when you say something and you hurt somebody, don't say, oh, but I meant well. It's too late. You've done the damage. So when you justify to yourself, say, oh, but I meant well, and it's how he took it. No, I'm sorry. Remember, a human is a stupid animal. Very stupid creature, most stupid in the universe. And so it's your responsibility to treat the humans that you interact with as they are, which is a stupid animal who's going to respond instinctively without thought, which is what you are as well. So if I take a responsibility, I am elevating myself above the normal stupid human level. And I will treat all humans as they are, meaning I will be superior in putting in effort and thought before I speak and in how I speak. And I will raise my level to be more than just a normal human animal by doing that. So never saying, I meant well, no justifications. I did it, I did it. Right? Because the doctor will not bring the corpse back to life no matter how many justifications he had. Because once you inflict guilt on someone, you can't take it away. You can apologize forever, but that guilt trip is in there. That knife is stuck in there. It doesn't come out, no matter how much you apologize, no matter how much you justify. It's done. So we have to be so careful not to do that. Okay, what other questions? I must be such a genius, huh? I say things so clearly. Nobody ever has a question. Oh. Try to give a better light here, maybe. I don't know. Really? Nothing.
Just absorbing and truly appreciating this.
Okay. All right.
Thinking how I can apply it to my immediate. Already I've got examples in my head of things that I put guilt trip on people and just reflect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But don't forget, it's not, don't just think about what you did to others. Think about what others have done to you. Like you're uptight, you're stressed, you're uptight. Everybody is, right? Perhaps you a little more than the average. I think all Kiwis, I would say, having been in over 70 countries, Kiwis are the most uptight wound up, emotionally repressed of all the world. The Kiwis are by far the most emotionally repressed in any other country in the world. So think not just of what you've done to others, but think of your reaction to other people's effect on you. You know, think of both. Think of both. But correcting the problem begins or is only done with how you speak. Okay? But you can contemplate not just how you talk to people, but how they talk to you. What are the subtle words? If you can catch that, it should help. Everything, you see, Anna, you're all guinea pigs to me. You're all lab rats. I come up with the ideas, you're supposed to do the exercises, and then we see the results. And if results are consistent enough, then we have something that is good for the world. You know, the last couple of articles had very good exercises in them I wish people would do. And give me your report, you know. You'll read the last couple of articles, excuse me. Right? Am I right? The last couple of articles had some things to work on. Yeah.
One with
That's okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The one, oh, yeah, the one before that. But they're both good. Anyway, let's stick with this topic for now. Let's not divert, at least until you've certain you have no other questions, then we could divert to others.
I'm just thinking, relating to what you said and thinking back, and definitely not obviously 100% of the time, maybe 1% or less. I am fairly aware of the subtleties of words and the meanings they convey. I sometimes take great pains to choose the right words to deliver the message with tact, like you said. Probably not often enough. But I'm admitting, yeah, I still get extremely affected by people when they do make that mistake and either intentionally or unintentionally use those kind of jaded, slanted words that just a little bit off, and they just kind of cut you just a little bit.
So obviously you're not doing it correctly. Remember that you may think you are using tact. You may think you are choosing the words correctly, but you might be fooling yourself.
Yeah, most likely, yeah.
Okay?
I do actually struggle with that at times. I don't know, I'm too direct and forward in a way that can easily be seen as kind of rude and abrupt sometimes. I really have to actually take a lot of time, longer than it should probably, to reformulate things. And I definitely don't do it all the time, probably for sure less than 5%.
You're saying this made me realize there's something else. Now, when you talk, if you inflict a guilt trip on someone or bring their mood down, you will feel guilty about that. Okay. Now, this is okay. So what you made me realize, because of how you are, it's not just to give them a guilt trip when you talk. It's to alter their mood. Do you alter someone's mood with your interaction? So if somebody is really happy and you're really down and you bring them down, or you manipulate or alter their mood in any way to the negative, then you will feel guilty about that. So if you lay on a guilt trip for them, they'll feel guilty. If you just burst their bubble, you will feel guilty. So choosing words carefully is not necessarily limited to not laying on a guilt trip, or not laying on a guilt trip. Manipulation could be also in bringing them down emotionally or mentally in some way. Okay?
You can hear us, the video's paused.
Okay. Is it back now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So Jenny didn't have hair, you know, she had only splotch of hair here and there. So I never used the word hair. I never mentioned hair, period. Not about me, not about her, not about anyone else. Never mentioned the word hair. So this is what I mean, is that because if I did, obviously she's going to feel bad. How many women like to be bald, you know, or have only, and it was even, anyway, for those of you who know where you remember what she looked like. So this is what I'm saying, is that you don't bring someone down, even if it isn't putting on guilt. So if you are miserable and depressed and there's a bunch of happy people and you go start talking to them and you bring them down and make them a little bit depressed, well, then you're going to feel guilty. So then you'll shut down more emotionally. All right. So you see, it's also that. So it's not just about wording things accurately and precisely, because then you could be saying, you know, well, I was very honest. I was very accurate. I told them that I'm feeling a bit suicidal today and I'm really depressed and lonely. And, you know, I just don't know how I'm going to keep living another day in my life because my life is so boring and miserable, you know. But I was really accurate and honest. So I have nothing to feel guilty about, right? See, that's still manipulating and bringing down their mood. So you can't just say, Chris, because you were saying that, trying to speak accurately, because it's not just being accurate, it's being aware of how you affect other people with the things you say. So sometimes it's a point of not speaking at all, or not saying what you're really feeling. Okay, Anna, you've got a question there for sure.
Yeah, I suppose I feel like that could be difficult to tease out sometimes when you are trying to when you are with someone that you trust, and I guess you're looking for reassurance, or do you think that the same thing still applies, or?
It's different because now, Anna, please, I'm feeling really down today. Can we have a talk so I can feel a little better and express my feelings? And I just need someone to talk to, okay? That's one thing. But if you're at work, talking to a group of people or a group of friends or wherever in general, that's something else. So if you are in a state where you need someone to talk to and you make that clear, then of course you say everything you're feeling. Mm. But you don't bring your rain cloud into a sunny day at the office. Okay? We're talking about, because we're talking today about the subtle influences we have on other people. And so this is in general day-to-day interactions, not when you're really in need of somebody to talk to. Okay? Does that make sense now?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Good.
Okay. What if someone asks you something, and in order to answer honestly, you have to phrase some things which will affect the other person in a negative way or make them feel guilty? Is it better just to hide the truth and say nothing? That's the right thing.
You have to tell the truth, but what I'm saying is there's different ways of telling the same story. There's different ways of telling the same story. So be careful of how you say whatever the story is in a way that conveys the story without it putting a guilt trip or any sense of responsibility on anyone else. Does that make sense?
Sure, but what if someone is responsible for something and you need to tell them that to make future or something, you know, so that person is responsible.
Look, if it is somebody broke something, or the way they did something is something you do repeatedly, so you have to teach them, look, you did this wrong, so this is the right way to do it for the future so you don't keep doing it wrong. That's one thing. But when you feel hurt, remember in the first talk of All Is Mind course is understanding words. So you're taking responsibility for your emotional reactions, that it's not somebody made me feel bad. It's I who felt bad because, remember, I picked the knife up and stick it in my own heart. So when you are emotionally hurt by something, if you're saying, oh, I need to tell that person they're responsible because they hurt me, you're avoiding taking responsibility for yourself and your own emotions and putting the blame on another person. And as long as you do that, you're not following the first ethic, and you will never, ever change because you're never taking responsibility for your life. So your example is invalid because it's the avoidance of responsibility for your own life. And it is always in blaming others, putting responsibility on others, so that you'll always have an excuse to do anything you want and feel anything you want, because it's always somebody else's fault, never yours. So if you continue that, you'll forever be emotionally manipulated by other people. You'll always be weak, emotionally weak, because you're allowing yourself to continue this belief that it's other people that are doing it to me, instead of me taking control of my own life and letting other people say and do what they want, and I choose if I react to it or not. Right? So it's never somebody else. So your entire question is flawed because it is implying that other people are, in fact, at times responsible for your feelings. And that is a lie. That's not true. Only you are responsible for your feelings. That is the reality. And so because your whole question is flawed, the answer is don't even ask it. Throw that question out and learn to take responsibility for your own emotions. And therefore, that means whenever you think someone is responsible for making you feel how you do, you need to remind yourself that you are responsible and not say anything to that other person. Don't blame them, because that's putting the blame on them. And you shouldn't do that. You should accept the blame on yourself for your own emotions.
Can I just clarify something with Crystal's question? Is the mistake that, maybe this is for Crystal, is the mistake that happened, David, are you saying the mistake that Crystal is referring to that the other person did, is that actually, in this case, Crystal's, or, you know, who, is it Crystal's mistake that this thing happened because she was in the control of it, or had authority? Sorry, I'm getting a little confused about when you say Crystal has her emotions to take.
She take responsibility for her emotions.
Yeah.
What happens, happens.
Yeah.
Things happen.
Right.
How do you respond to what happens? Okay, so you got hurt. Don't blame the other person for hurting you. You have to accept that I got hurt because I allowed those words to affect my mind so that I would have a negative emotion. But if I have done the work and I no longer let other people manipulate me, and I allow everybody to say what they want to say, but then I will not be affected by their words, because I know they're just venting their own feelings, that's taking the responsibility. Then she wouldn't get hurt. And if you don't get hurt, you don't have to tell anybody and blame them.
So I tend to make another comment, because I was talking to someone on the phone and I realized sometimes it's not even the words, sometimes it's the tone. You kind of get emotionally through and you know it, and then you come off the phone and I felt it. I felt terrible. And and realizing, and then I kind of, and actually something like that. But sometimes it's not the word, sometimes it's the tone and the body language that says everything. You know, it's not necessarily the words that you say or don't.
Yep. Of course, tone, facial expressions, everything is part of your communication. And if you do something that you then realize was bad, you must immediately call back and correct it. Apologize. Yeah. All right. So back to Crystal, because that started with Crystal's question. Is that clear, Crystal? Do you understand that better?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, Anne, sorry.
But do we not often, like, I have sometimes people apologizing to me for something they said while I actually wasn't bothered about it. Quite often we like take the wrong message because we think what the other thinks, or we think about what the other might think or might feel, or that we have changed their mood and we feel guilty about that. So we actually learn something that is maybe wrong. Like, I'm just struggling in my head a little bit because there's often, how do we learn from these occasions? Because often we make our own stories. Are we learning the right lesson? And is it not different with every person again? Like you learn something like you think, oh, this wasn't the way I should talk to somebody. And to somebody else that is perfectly fine and they're happy with what you say, how you say it. So it's quite confusing to learn from it.
The lesson is every single human being and every moment in our life is totally unique, and that there is no fixed rule that applies all the time for everyone. That's the real lesson, which means be present and adapt to the situation at the moment. So adapt to the situation at the moment. Now, if somebody is apologizing to you when you didn't take it wrongly, then allow them to apologize because they feel guilty. And unless they apologize, they won't be relieved of their guilt. So just let them talk, let them apologize. And you accept it graciously. And then give them a hug after or something to show, look, no hard feelings, something like that. If it's appropriate. But yeah, let them. But yeah, the thing is every situation's totally unique. So that is the main lesson.
But that's where I struggle because then you're actually often too late. Like, you think, and then you have to apologize, which you say is actually not working anymore because it's already too late.
So what you learned is that you weren't actually being fully present and aware at that time, right? Because if you were fully present and aware, you would adapt very instantly to correct whatever is going wrong. So then what you learned is that, no, actually I was fixed in my opinion and I was narrow-minded in my communication at that moment, and I need to be more present and aware rather than living and acting through my fixed opinions of how things should be. So you basically saw that you're still acting like a robot automatically in certain situations, and you need to work on being more present and adaptive. Yeah. All right. So does that make sense? Is that okay? Yeah. Yeah. There's the Buddha's teaching. Somebody comes to him and he says, does a dog have a Buddha nature? And he said, yes. And then a little later in the day, somebody else came up and asked, does the dog have a Buddha nature? And he said, no. And some disciples who were with him all day said, I don't understand, Buddha. Before you said yes, and now you say no. Which is it? And he said, well, everyone asks a question, but there's a real question behind the question they're asking. And so for the first man, what he really was asking has nothing to do with the dog. So his answer was yes. And the second man, what he was asking also really didn't have anything to do with the dog, but his answer was no. So you have to know that when people are talking, and you too, what you're saying isn't really always what you mean. And that's why we have to be so present to be able to see what is subtly really being asked or said. And then you'll be able to adapt instantly instead of saying, this is the way I respond to this situation. All our work is about becoming, as the Buddha said, present. What does it mean to be present? It means that there's no, if I'm present, fully present, no past and no future, right? That's being present. Now, if you think about everything you are, you're an accumulation of past. Past, when I learned to speak. What language I learned to speak? What religion was I raised with? Who am I today as a person? What country, what culture, what accent, what style of clothing? All of this that I am today is an accumulation of past. So therefore, if I, as I am now, respond to any situation, I'm not actually in the present. I'm responding based on my past. So, to be fully present means I'm responding to what is in front of me without any reflection upon past experiences or my formed personality, culture, and so on, to determine what my correct response should be. See? So to be fully present is, what am I faced with? How do I respond? It's like if somebody throws something at you, you will instinctively block or duck or turn away without any thought. Okay? That's instantaneous reaction. It's animal instinct. Something is flying at you, you will do something to avoid getting hit in the face. So that is how we have to respond to every single event. Every single interaction, completely, instantly, based on what is being thrown at me at that moment. So anything that goes wrong means you weren't actually present. You had responded from some previous programming or learned behavior or cultural or narrow-minded or opinions, and that's why it went wrong. You didn't respond appropriately to the actual event. You responded out of the past. So you learn, okay, what did I do? Why did I do it? I wasn't actually present. I have to continue my work on becoming a fully present person. That's all. Just continue the work. You know, there's no such thing as sin, right? You know, sin in Christianity is a fictitious invention. In the original thing, in the teachings of Christ, Christ took it from Buddha, which is aramatia, is the word in Greek. It's taken from the sport of archery. It means missing the mark. And in Buddhism, there's no sin. Only you miss the mark. Try again. Okay? Sin was created by the Christians. The Jews have sin, but in a different way than the Christians, as a way to manipulate people. So there is no sin. There's only, I screwed up. I got it wrong. Are you dead? No. Okay, try again. Are you dead? Okay, you're dead, too late. Next time, who knows? But if you're not dead, try again. All right? So this is very important. There is no sin. There's only, I missed the mark. I missed the target. Shoot again. But as I teach archery, I do have to refine your technique. You see? So you might have to shoot again. But for example, here you can see my elbow. If your elbow is too high, the arrow will go up. If your elbow is too low, the arrow will go down. So I don't say shoot again and then you just keep doing the same bad technique. I have to correct my technique to bring my elbow at exactly level so it's straight with the arrow. So when we say, okay, try again, fine, but don't try again with the same bad technique. Get back to the work. Get back to the exercises. Improve your technique on how you communicate. Okay? Yeah.
Going back to, saying subtle things, manipulate another person into a negative person. As you know, a lot of us are speaking innocently. Sometimes we don't know that we've said something that can affect somebody. Some of us in this group are fortunate enough to speak with you on a regular basis, and you point out examples. Had you not pointed that out, we wouldn't know. We'd probably go through our whole lives not knowing that what we said has affected other people. Now, I know from experience when I'm dealing with the women at work, sometimes people go a little off on me or a little funny towards me after I've said something, and I'm like, oh, I know I've said something wrong and we don't quite know why. So how, if we don't have a teacher that's observing our emails and communication on a regular basis, saying that, and that, do we know? How will we know if it's innocent?
You won't. That's why you have to have a teacher. That's why the Sufi saying that the journey of 200 years by yourself through the desert will take you 2 days with an experienced guide.
Yeah.
You have to have the teacher. You have to have someone who can see to point things out. But of course, you have to do the work yourself. So, like I say, in your case, you're very good at blaming. You particularly are an expert and always putting the blame on others. Always, oh, but he did this, she did that, they did this, did that. You're very good at blaming others. So you have to work on never blaming anyone else. It's always your fault. Your feelings are your fault. All right? Everything that happens to you, it's your fault. That's what you have to start working on. And then you might make some more improvement. But as long as you keep thinking, and you mentioned it again today in your question, that if somebody does, I have to tell him what he did wrong so he knows what he did wrong so he won't do it again. You see, the blaming of others. So you have to stop that.
Yeah.
Everybody's expert at something wrong. Everyone is an expert at doing something that they shouldn't be doing something they're doing wrong. So everyone has, there's some people may have a similar thing, but everyone is, that's your God's unique talent that he gave you, is what you can screw up really well. What you're doing really expert at doing wrong. So you, Crystal, like to blame other people, always putting it on others. Yeah. So that's what you have to stop doing. You have to catch yourself. Never blame others. Everything you're feeling, it's my fault. Not me. I mean you. It's not my fault. It's your fault. Yeah. Okay.
And just being really observant, and in situations where people go a bit funny towards you, just try and understand why. And you can figure out why, write it down, remember it.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that as long as you maintain your attitude of blaming others, you will not be able to see what you did wrong. Because you're automatically putting the blame on them, saying, I was really good, I told the truth, I was honest, they got upset. Or that person made me upset. So as long as you still blame anyone else for anything, and don't take 100% responsibility for your life, your feelings, your actions, you will never see what you did wrong, because your automatic function is trained to blame others. So you will not see what you have done wrong. Remember, the ability to see yourself is up to your willingness to change and to correct your main flaw. So I'm sorry, say it again.
Expose yourself, which is a bottom.
Yeah. That's it. In your case, yeah. So until you stop blaming others, you will never see yourself. You'll never see what you've done wrong. Okay?
You can't look in two different directions at once.
I'm sorry, I can't hear that.
I said, yeah, because you can't look in two directions at once. You can't look here and there. get with me.
Well, and you can't think, you can't listen and speak at the same time. So if you're blaming them, you'll never see or hear what you were doing. And your automatic function is to blame others. So because the automatic functions are quicker than the deliberate function, like when you want to think and do something, you will automatically respond first, right? You'll automatically feel guilty before you'll think about what was said, right? Automatic function is quicker. So your automatic function is blame. Put the responsibility on others. So that's why you will not see what you do, because your automatic function is always blaming them that it's their fault, not yours. So you won't see yourself until you stop blaming. Okay? Everyone does that, but to a lesser degree than Crystal. Crystal's the master of that. So she's doing it 98% of the time. Maybe you're doing it 50%, 40%, 30%. But everybody's doing it at some time or another. And it has to go to zero. All right? And that's one thing, Anna, is that what we have here, I pick on everybody. I'm very, as you see, I'll tell you right to your face what you're doing wrong. And it always applies to everybody, but just to different degrees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay? So we have the depressed one who's always moaning, brings everyone down. We have the blamer. We have the one who can't keep his thoughts straight, who's, you know, all uptight. Then we have Minnie Mouse. And then, you know, everybody, we got all the different ones. We don't know you yet.
Yeah,
I'm sorry?
I'm looking forward to my analysis.
Okay. We'll see. I don't know if I can do it over the meetings. I don't know. I can't find anything wrong with Anne yet. Yeah. I can. Actually, I can.
No, I can't tell you.
Huh? Oh, no. She's very intellectual and very conservative. So everything is still kept very quiet. But that's not really something wrong, is it? It's not like you guys. You guys are easier. Yeah. Okay. What else? 10 past 10. Okay.
How are you for time, David?
I want to get going already. So, but if you have any more questions, a little bit. No, it's okay. Yeah.
So another question. Say someone asks you about, you know, how's the day and how's work, and you're sharing. I guess, like you said, you're being honest. You think you're being honest. You're sharing. Maybe you've had a really difficult day, for whatever reason, and you do notice the mood sort of come down. Then what is the right thing to do in that situation? Is it to not share, particularly with someone you're close to, your friend, or do you acknowledge that the mood has gone down and you apologize for it? Or what would be the right?
Well, if the mood went down without you intending and you noticed it,
Yeah.
once you notice it, you can then change the subject to something to lighten it up a bit. You know, that's all. But you should be aware, and like I said to you earlier, that if you need to talk because you're feeling down, you can just make that clear right from the beginning. Because everyone is, I had a great weekend, Yeah, I had a really boring, dull weekend. That brings it down. But if your friend is saying, I had a great weekend, I said, you know, would you mind if I talk to you? Because I just got things on my mind. The person is now prepared. Okay? So it's no longer a surprise attack. But if 5 people are talking and 4 are all happy, and then you come in with depression, that's a surprise attack. But if you're down and you need to talk about it and you say, listen, I had a tough weekend. Can I please talk to you? Oh, okay, my friend. Now I'm ready for you. My heart is open. I'm ready to listen and then hug you at the end. Okay? It's no longer a surprise attack. So you get what you need without catching the other person and bringing them down. Right?
And if their response wasn't kind of one of openness, would you kind of suggest keeping to yourself?
I'd suggest you find another best friend.
Yeah. A more supportive friend.
Okay. If a person is not open to that, well, then you understand, or you can see this is a person who's closed emotionally and is not somebody that you can open up to. They can't handle it. They're emotionally immature, emotionally closed. They got a lot of problems. It could be that day. If you know the person usually is open, maybe that day is not good for them. Or you can see, well, this is just not a person I can be close to. And you know, my grandfather was born in 1900. All right, just to give you an idea that this is not like a modern phenomena. And he always told me, and this 1900, he's British subject, but in India. Okay, so just to give you, I mean, this is like the land where everyone was supposed to be so close and open and all that. He said, if you have 5 good friends, you're the richest man in the world. And he said, if you have 1, you're already pretty lucky. All right. So to have somebody that you can really trust, that will always be there, that can be truly open and objective, is very, very rare. To have people who are totally closed is very common. So that's why our work and ethicalism and all is mind and all of that is to help us open up so that maybe we can throw a few good open people out to the world, you know? But don't expect it. And if you find someone who's very closed, it's a shame. And that's why we like to have a group, a school, so at least there's a handful of people that you know will be able to be there for you, you know? And that's the idea. That's what religions grew on. Religions grew based on brother, sister, I'm there for you. It's, you know, so, yeah. But here we have in ethicalism, you know, there's no God, no religion, no priest, no leaders, nothing like that. Because religions became like, you know, narrow-minded, like the horse with blinders. So they failed. So we're trying to correct that.